If you're on AT&T and you're looking for an awesome Windows phone, you've got some choices to choose from. How's it going, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and two of those are in the house. One is the HTC Titan. It's available now for $199.99, and it's packing a 16 megapixel camera, a 4.7-inch display, and a 1.5 gigahertz CPU. Then you have the Nokia Lumia 900. Now this thing has been talked about and talked about. It's available in a couple of different colors, including cyan, and available for $100. You get a 1.4 gigahertz processor, a 4.3-inch AMOLED display, and an 8 megapixel camera. So do you go for the one with the bigger camera but $100 more, or do you go with the one that's $100 and is making quite a splash in the industry right now? We'll find out in the dogfight between the Titan 2 and the Lumia 900. But first, some love from our boys at Best Buy Mobile for hooking us up with phones like this for use in our One Paw Bandit game. When you go into Best Buy Mobile to get either of these devices, you'll walk out working. They'll help you set up your email, your web, your camera settings, your phone settings. So when you walk out that door, all the customization is done thanks to Best Buy Mobile. Let's take a look at this. We'll start right into part two by taking a look at the camera on both of these devices. You have a 16 megapixel camera on the Titan 2 and an 8 megapixel camera with Carl Zeiss optics over here on the Lumia 900. So both are decent. You know, Carl Zeiss is certainly no name to scoff at, but you have a 16 megapixel shooter over here. Not to spoil it, but I will say the Lumia 900 is not the best in the picture department. This thing does not do an incredible job with taking pictures. It's certainly doable and it works okay. But that's one of the challenges that I've seen as opposed to the Titan 2. The Titan 2 takes some killer pictures. And we'll bring over a box here, for example, to take a look. We'll do the LG Enlighten box, and we'll bring it in and take a picture. Now you have your physical camera button up here on top, and your settings, much like the typical Windows Phone setting here. I love that you can quickly go between the actual live image and then the gallery. You can scroll back and forth pretty easily. And then I've got this little option up here, which is kind of focusing in on what I'm taking a picture of. And then you have your settings over here where I can change it, the effects, the resolution, face detection, and more, turn flash on and off. And this is kind of the same on both devices. You'll see the setup looks very similar, zoom in, zoom out, and of course switching it over to the front-facing camera. And both of these, like I said, are LTE devices also. So we're going to half press that to hold. So we're going to come down here, half press to hold, full press to take a picture, and it really is an impressive picture. It's nice, even focusing in, you can see the quality here, you can see the text really easily, and you can see the fluidity of this device as well. Same thing over here, but of course 8 megapixel camera. It really is not the best camera in the world. I've not been that impressed with it. We'll press and hold, and you can see here, despite being a Carl Zeiss camera, you can really see some blur here. You can see that even when focused in, text isn't quite as crisp as the Titan 2. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're a camera buff, you take quite a few pictures on your phone, the Titan 2 is going to blow it away. But the question is, do you want to spend the extra $100 to get that 16 megapixel camera? It's going to depend on what's more important to you. If it's a build quality kind of thing, you really like the way the Lumia looks, or if you like the way this looks a little bit better. So let's take a look at Internet Explorer on both of these devices and load up PhoneDog.com, which ironically it's already set and ready to go. LTE on AT&T has been pretty impressive for the most part in the Charlotte area. I haven't seen a speed, at least in the city, over about 10 megabits per second, but it's still reasonably fast and pretty consistent for the most part. So PhoneDog's loading up right now, and you'll also notice that the URL bar and the associated symbols are down in the bottom now. Now, if you're coming into Windows Phone for the first time, you're like, what are those three dots down below? Well, that's the menu button. It kind of serves as a right click, if you will, in the actual operating system. You can see when you press it, it brings up your full page there, and of course you can press it, or you can bring it up and down with your finger that way, either way, whichever gesture you prefer more. But pinch to zoom, really responsive on this. No flash on the Windows Phone just yet, but still very responsive in the browser department with some nice transition effects on both units. So this is where the 4.7-inch display is going to come in really handy on the Titan 2, because, you know, browsing the web, looking at YouTube videos, looking at text, the bigger display is going to be a little bit better. That said, pinch to zoom, equally responsive over here, little to no lag, and of course your transition effects are really nice. Maybe just a little bit slower on the Lumia 900, but you have a 1.4 gigahertz processor over here and a 1.5 over on the Titan 2. But again, $100 more for the Titan 2. Let's take a look at bandwidth while we're at it. And you'll notice this actually over here as well. You can either scroll to get to your applications, or you can press the arrow button and get to them that way as well. You'll notice that, and this is something that's kind of out of your control, and you'll see this in the contacts as well. When you go to A, for example, you're like, which applications do I have? Well, you'll notice the ones that are highlighted are the ones that I have. So for example, I don't have any applications that start with J or K or Q or V or X or Z, but I can easily scroll to like C, for example, and get to those. Now you'll notice it's not over here, and there's no option to turn that on or off in Windows Phone. That's something that kind of comes as you download enough applications. It just magically organizes them in alphabetical order. It doesn't give you any sort of option to turn that on, or once you get, you can't turn it off once you have a certain number of applications. It's just one of those system setup things, which, while I appreciate it, while it's very fluid and it really adds something to the operating system, I love the ability with a lot of these things to turn it on and off. And I think that's, hopefully, as the operating system kind of matures a little bit, they'll add those abilities to turn that on and off and do things like turning that on where I can keep the LTE indicator and the battery meter in the actual notifications area without having to see it, go away and come back and go away and come back. So hopefully we'll see that in the future. But let's take a look at bandwidth on both of these devices, both packing LTE. And so we'll run a speed test here and see which one comes out on top. Obviously, it'd be kind of luck of the draw here because they're both uptown, they're both LTE devices. There's really no difference in that area. So 5.22 megabits per second download speed over here. Looks like about 4.02 on the Lumia 900. Upload speed 3.3. It's a little bit faster upload speed on the Lumia, but a little bit faster download speed on the Titan 2. So obviously, based on tower traffic, based on a ton of different metrics, which we can't really talk about in depth in a 10-minute video. So, but still, pretty impressive speeds nonetheless. I'd like to see them a little bit faster. I know New York and some of these, Chicago, some of these larger markets have seen their LTE speeds between 20 and 35 megabits per second. Have not seen that in the city with LTE in the Charlotte metro area. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's take a look also at the Windows Phone Marketplace. We'll do it on the Lumia 900. And you can see over here, actually I want to show you on both because I'll show you the difference between the two. We're in a marketplace, and you can see obviously Nokia device, you have your Nokia collection over here, and then on the Titan 2 you have AT&T featured in an HTC application. So you kind of have that store within a store concept here, where I can easily download those recommended applications by HTC or those recommended apps by Nokia. So I've got HTC Hub and HTC Watch over here, some other different applications that are either recommended or made by HTC. Notes, for example, which is a huge one for me. I take notes all the time on my mobile device. Calculator rather, and then a couple of other Love apparently and connection setup. Then over here I have some really useful ones. CNN, ESPN, if that's something that interests you. Nokia Drive, Maps, and Transit, all huge, and ones I use on a daily basis, at least in my personal use with the Nokia Lumia 900 as part of that 30-day challenge. So this is, we'll go into Nokia Drive, for example. We'll go into Calculator, and you can see how it looks. You can see the application name, details, and reviews. I can easily scroll over and see the reviews. I can see some screenshots of the respective applications, some related applications, and then back to details where I can see the star ratings, and I can see share or install. If I don't already have it installed, it gives me the install option. So we can go to Nokia Transit, for example, which I don't have installed. I can come over here and see the install button. So quick and easy to use. The application store is at about 70,000 apps right now and growing pretty quickly as Microsoft looks to pay developers to build those relevant applications on Windows Phone as well. And one thing I'll say, going to Fandango, for example, over here, one thing I'll say is every Windows Phone application I've used, at least most of them I should say, are just as good, if not better in a lot of cases, than their Android and iOS counterparts. They really focus a lot on fluidity and design, and you can see here pretty easy and fluid and nice to use. You got your Fandango here, for example, in theaters. You got your coming soon. I can go now, and I can see my movies in theaters by scrolling over, and you'll see the text just kind of scrolls off the screen on both of these devices. And I can see some of these go now stuff. So Epicenter, which is right beside me, the lucky one starts in 1 minute. Oh snap! I can go see some Zac Efron. Oh yeah, and get my stuff on. Oh yeah. That love movie Nicholas Sparks. Who doesn't love Nicholas Sparks? I mean, come on now. But obviously I'm shooting a video, so I can't go in 1 minute. I'd be late, and I don't want to miss the previews. Everybody loves the previews. So got off on a little bit of a tangent there, but you can see AT&T up here as well. I want to show you the phone application before we sign off. This is what Windows Phone looks like. No pun intended, Windows Phone. And then you've got your dial pad over here. Now obviously, again, one of those areas where that bigger display may come in handy for you if you prefer physical keys. You've obviously got some nice large keys over here that are 4.7 inches as opposed to 4.3 over here. And you can see what it looks like. And of course the signal strength indicator does stay in place when you're on the actual call itself. So both of these are really good devices, and it becomes a challenge. It really depends on if you want the 16 megapixel camera, you want the bigger display, or you want this device. I think value proposition wise, the Lumia 900 is by far the best. I mean, in terms of a value proposition, for $100 you get a killer smartphone here. in a bunch of different colors, with an AMOLED display, with a decent camera, not the greatest in the world, but a decent camera, and killer battery life. In terms of battery life, the Lumia 900 does last a little bit longer than the Titan 2. You got a bigger display over here with a 1,730 milliamp hour battery. Then you have a smaller display, despite it being AMOLED, and then you have a 1,830 milliamp hour battery over here. I last about 12 to 13 hours on this device. I get about 10 to 11 on the Titan 2. So keep that in mind. Call quality is pretty decent on both of these. Nokia does an astounding job in the reception department, and they do a really good job all around. So, you know, to me, the all-around best device and the winner of the dogfight is the Nokia Lumia 900. Now keep that in mind though, the Titan 2 has some killer specs here, don't get me wrong, 16 megapixel camera, and I actually, you know, for my personal use, I like the build quality of the Titan 2 just a little bit better than the Lumia 900. I've always kind of liked that metal look and feel, and I love the 900, don't get me wrong, but that metal look and feel, it's got a nice corporate look and feel to it, it fits well in the hand, and even though the display may be a little bit too large for my taste, it's really nice for video and really nice for web browsing. That said, the best value proposition, the all-around best smartphone here, bang for the buck, decent processor, AMOLED display is going to go to the Lumia 900, despite a few shortfalls in the camera department, and then of course in the fact that it has a slightly smaller display. Much more coverage to come on PhoneDog.com with both of these devices, the Titan 2 and the Lumia 900. So keep it locked on PhoneDog.com. Let me know what you think on Twitter, PhoneDog_Aaron on Twitter, Facebook as well, Facebook.com/PhoneDogAB, and on Google+. Be sure to check us out, gplus.to/PhoneDog. Let me know what you think. Let me know which one you like more, the Titan 2 or the Lumia 900. Hey, be sure to vote for your favorite one as well on PhoneDog's official smartphone rankings at PhoneDog.com/rankings. Leave a review. Let me know why you like the one as much as you do or why you hate it. Let me know. PhoneDog.com/rankings. Thanks much for watching. More coverage to come on Windows phones and more dogfights, all kinds of good stuff on PhoneDog.com. We'll see you next time.